My name is Taylor Jeffs. I'm the President and Chief Creative Officer of Legacy Entertainment. We are an entertainment design company. Historically, we're best known for theme parks. Over the last 15 years or so, we've become very popular for designing resorts and aquariums. Legacy Entertainment is the market leader throughout most of Asia. We're very popular in China, Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia. We've designed resorts in Macau. We've opened multiple theme parks in China. Chimelong Spaceship is an insane project. It is the world's largest indoor theme park. It is the world's largest aquarium. It has 7 Guinness World Records. It has to be seen to be believed. This project is completely unprecedented. Creating a theme park of this size posed a huge creative challenge. It has 4 million square feet of indoor area, a hotel with 1,250 rooms. It's unlike anything else in the entire world. For context, Chimelong is one of China's leading, most respected, and best theme park developers and operators. Their first park in Guangzhou, Chimelong Paradise, opened up in 2006. It's been incredibly successful. They really know the market, and they get millions and millions of visitors every year. Based on the success of that, they decided to create their new park in Zhuhai, where in 2014 they opened Chimelong Ocean Kingdom. And this is an unbelievable park, huge scale, outdoor theme park. Before Shanghai Disneyland opened, this park was hosting 11 million people a year. There are days during Chinese New Year where there are 100,000 people coming to this park in one day. You cannot move. So again, the park is so successful, it's so fantastic, it's bursting at the seams. There's very clearly a need to do more here in Zhuhai, and that's where we came in. So around 2015, we were asked by Chimelong's chairman, Su, to help them out with the design for a second gate for Chimelong Ocean Kingdom. It was a long, narrow parcel of land next to Ocean Kingdom, and also it could not be competitive with Ocean Kingdom. It had to be something completely distinct. It had to offer something that you couldn't do at the original park. So what could we do that would be complementary to Ocean Kingdom? One thing is we could create a theme park that was entirely indoors. It rains every single day. This is a typhoon market. I mean, Hong Kong, Pearl River Delta, Macau, the summers here are brutal. The 130% humidity, 90-degree weather. So if we could offer you a perfect day indoors, that seemed like a great selling point. So then came the design process. Now, Chimelong is known for being a very unique collaborator. Chairman Su is a big personality. He has an incredible vision, but he likes options. The idea to do a spaceship wasn't clear from day one. We did some options that were inspired by Native American culture. We did options that were inspired by Greco-Roman design, something like Hearst Castle almost. We did options that were just more generic, futuristic, elegant, almost kind of in the Frank Gehry vocabulary. I mean, just putting idea after idea on the table. That's the way we worked. And it wasn't until we finally came up with the idea of creating the spaceship that Chairman Su got really excited. You can see his eyes light up. And right away we knew this is it, this is what we're doing. Then we had to figure out, what is this thing? Why is there a spaceship here? Storytelling is very important in all the projects that we design in China, and it's especially important to Chimelong. If you go to a Chimelong park, it's a very different experience from going to a Disney or Universal park. There are going to be animatronic characters all around. That's just something that plays to the local audience. So we then went in to create a backstory about how this is essentially the USS Enterprise of the seas. What that is to space, this is to the oceans. We're right there in Hongqin Bay, we're right there by the ocean, so we created a whole storyline that there is a subterranean network where this giant ship can lower down into the oceans and travel the seas, traveling around the world, spreading news of conservation, helping animals in need. We knew we wanted to have aquarium elements, we knew we wanted to have theme park elements. How do you balance those, not just from a guest experience, but also from an operational perspective? We wanted to create the most wonderful marine life habitats ever imagined. And I believe we have. I mean, this is literally the largest aquarium in the world. The largest aquarium pool in the entire world is in Chimelong Spaceship. One thing that Chimelong was insistent upon is that there be orcas in the park. That was something that was decided before we joined the project, and it was our job to make that work in the best possible, most humane way possible. You know, sometimes there are things that I wouldn't personally do myself in designs and that Chimelong insists on. And you know what? They're always successful. They know their audience. So I have to defer judgment sometimes and just trust in their vision. I understand why they want to do that. Orcas are something relatively new for mainland China. It's a huge attraction, it's a huge draw. For all the people in the Pearl River Delta, this is their first chance to see orcas in a controlled environment and hopefully build a newfound respect for these incredible creatures. You know, there's a really interesting thing where people only like being indoors for a certain amount of time, maybe 3 or 4 hours max, and that's a huge challenge of designing indoor theme parks. We want to make sure that we give people breaks from the enclosed, dark environments, and that's why there's lots of natural light, lots of sunlight that comes into Chimelong Spaceship. We have areas where we have controlled lighting, so we can do some really cool projection effects and lighting effects, and then we have other areas like the giant theater, like the theme park zone, where we bring in the natural light and we find that people are comfortable, they'll stay for a much longer period of time. They'll stay for 6, 7, 8 hours, no problem. Designing a theme park is one of the most complicated things in the world because it's every discipline all in one. You have hospitality, you have hotels, you have restaurants, you have shopping, you have aquariums, you have theme parks, all under one roof. This is as complex as it gets. And one of the most complex elements is the ride selection. Ocean Kingdom was already so comprehensive and so fantastic. It was a little bit of a challenge finding things that didn't exist there already. You know, we have a limited space, we're indoors. We have to make sure we have, you know, at least 3 or 4 things that children and parents and grandparents can do together. You know, more like the kind of Zamperla flat rides. We have to make sure that we have a few things that teenagers will enjoy. More like the kind of indoor drop towers, things like the suspended monorail. Finding that balance is super critical. In the early stages of the design for Chimelong Spaceship, we planned for a roller coaster to run alongside the park, as you'll see in some of the early concept art. Chimelong is very unique in that sometimes they will buy rides without knowing exactly where they're going to go. So for example, in Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, the Mach Super Splash, the Mach water coaster, they bought those years in advance, having no idea where they're going to put them, and then, okay, we'll put them in Zhuhai in the new park. So that was much the same, that they had purchased a roller coaster, I think it was a Mach spinning coaster, that we looked into putting in the Chimelong Spaceship. There's a huge challenge that we and many other marine life park operators and designers have dealt with, which is the vibrations created by the roller coaster can negatively impact the sea life. So you have to be super careful when considering where to put these rides and attractions. So that was moved to another project. In the end, the park was divided into kind of 2 clear sections. Then on one side we have the animal attractions, and on one side we have the theme park style attractions. We really put our energy and focus into creating 2 amazing signature attractions. One is Bermuda Storm, and the other is the Submarine Adventure. Bermuda Storm is a multi-Guinness World Record-breaking attraction. This thing is completely insane. It is by far the biggest simulator in the entire world. It has 304 seats. It has the world's largest wraparound screen. It's unlike anything else. This idea began almost 20 years before Chimelong Spaceship opened, that we were working on a project in Dubai, and we were looking for a way to tell a historical story about Dubai, and they have the giant dhow ships. So we thought, what if we created a simulator, a giant ship simulator, with a wraparound screen and real water effects around the boat? That project didn't end up happening, and then finally, here in Zhuhai with Chimelong, Chairman Su and everyone at Chimelong, they got the idea right away and thought this is something that could be really fantastic and that we should put our time and energy into developing. It's the Guinness World Record holder for world's largest simulator. And to get maximum throughput, there's no traditional seating. It's almost like Circle Vision in a way. It has the lean rails, kind of a newer padded seat. This ride was designed and built by a company called Brogen from Taiwan. Again, they took on the creative challenge to do something that had never been done before. And then the other one, the submarine ride, that's simply an attraction that I really love. I have 2 young daughters. Legoland California is one of our local parks that I take them to all the time. And they have this modern version of Disney's classic submarine ride. What I love about it is it's wish fulfillment. You are in a real submarine, there are real sea animals swimming around you, and there's no height requirement. Babies can do it, grandparents can do it, teenagers can do it, everyone can enjoy it equally. So it's something I always try to put in our aquarium projects, and luckily Chimelong agreed that this was a great idea for their project. Designing an indoor theme park is one thing, expanding an indoor theme park is a whole other thing. Luckily, we have a lot of experience with that. You know, one of our main clients is Lotte World in South Korea. Lotte World is South Korea's largest and most popular theme park. It's also an indoor theme park. Through our work with Lotte World, they went from 5 million people a year to 7 million people a year. I mean, these are numbers that you don't see outside of Disney and Universal. And what happened there is a really interesting example where we had to find areas that were not designated as guest areas to expand into. So at Lotte World, for example, we took over floors below the park that were a mall and turned those into additional theme park space to accommodate for the extra crowd. Chimelong Spaceship, based on our experience with Lotte World, was designed with that in mind. So there are pockets built into the park where we can expand in the future when it's needed. There's an old saying that you don't design a church for Easter Sunday. In this case, we are designing the theme park for our equivalent of Easter Sunday. China is all about holidays. If you go to a typical Chinese theme park, most days of the year, there's nobody there. However, China has these holiday periods. They have the Mid-Autumn Festival, they have Chinese New Year, and these are insane. It's where the entire country takes a week off. Every single person, 1 billion people go on vacation all at once. So we have to take this into account when we're designing our parks in China. Something that might be small and intimate here in the States is going to have to be, huge and wide in China. There are days when there are going to be 50, 60, 70,000 people in this park, and we have to account for that. However, on those days when there's nobody there, it can't feel empty and uncomfortable. So we have to find that balance between creating the giant expanses to accommodate those crowds and also creating these intimate moments that make it a comfortable, pleasant place to be. So when we're creating projects in China, we have to keep a lot of different things in mind. Theme parks are a relatively new medium. The Chinese audience, they may not have seen so many, if any theme park ever. The flow has to be very intuitive. When Hong Kong Disneyland opened in 2005, there were guests that would come into the park, they would see Main Street, they would get confused. What is this? This is like a mall, this is like shops and like restaurants here, what is this? They would get frustrated and leave without ever having made it far enough into the park. At one point, it was discussed to actually create a pre-show at Hong Kong Disneyland to show you how to use a theme park. So we've learned with China, you can't be subtle. You have to be outright, big wow, no little nuances. We're still in China where perhaps America was in the 1950s and 1960s in terms of we are Las Vegas marquees, we're Times Square, we're going to be big and flashy, we're going to be attention-getting. Wow factor right now is what it's all about. The Chinese consumer is very different from the American consumer or from the European consumer or from the Middle Eastern consumer. There's a whole new set of rules that plays into it. Post-COVID, they're completely cashless. There's no more use for ticketing windows basically in these projects. Everyone already has their tickets on their phones. China is a country on fast forward. The rules are always changing, the audience is always changing. I've been going to China almost every month since 2004. Every time you go, it's a different country. I mean, first generation theme parks in China, they weren't so great. We're talking, the early OCTs, the early Fanta Wilds, but that's what was available. And now the audience is becoming spoiled. They have Shanghai Disneyland, they have Universal Beijing. The bar is getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And that it's just a great case study, and that great entertainment is universal. Great entertainment plays anywhere. The fact that Disney and Universal, while being very sensitive to the culture, have come in with their distinct park IP and their brands, and that they have been received so warmly, that those have so quickly risen up to become the most popular parks in China, is really telling. Great entertainment is great entertainment, and great entertainment plays anywhere in the world. And again, that's putting a lot of pressure on us as designers to up our game and offer something that people have never seen before. China is one of the most incredible markets for theme parks in the world. It's growing so fast, and Chimelong Spaceship is just the first step in terms of the incredible things that are happening in China. Right now, we're doing some incredible work in Saudi Arabia You know, that's the only other market in the world that could potentially challenge China right now for this scale of record-breaking project. Designing the Chimelong Spaceship was a huge education in trying to perfect the art of designing indoor theme parks. We had an unprecedented opportunity here to create a project on the scale that's never been done before. This thing is bigger than any other indoor theme park or aquarium in the whole world. So it's like Spider-Man, great power, great responsibility. Let's take all the learning from indoor theme parks around the world. There's so many interesting examples now in the Middle East, in Asia. What are the great things about these parks? What are the things that are not so great about the parks? And how do we incorporate all of those ideas into this opportunity? It's going to be a very, very tall order to create something bigger, better, more fantastic than Chimelong Spaceship.